The Heisman race is actually insane right now. If you look at the current betting favorites, there are 5 players who are within plus 750 odds. I know there's still a month left of the season and a lot can change, but I don't remember there being a Heisman race where by the time we got to November, there were 5 players that all had really good odds. So this final month of the college football season is shaping out to be one of the more exciting ones when it comes to the Heisman race. As we get ready for the final stretch of the college football season, I'm going to be sharing my top 10 for the Heisman Trophy. Before I get to today's rankings, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are that you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel, so make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. I'm posting videos every day during the season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. I still have Caleb Williams ranked inside my top 10. Now, if you were to look at the current Heisman odds, you wouldn't find him that high because he's currently 80-1 to win the Heisman. Like I've talked about the last couple of weeks, his numbers are definitely there. It's just those back-to-back losses to Notre Dame and Utah that really hurt his chances. This past weekend on the road, he threw for 270 yards with 4 total touchdowns. The only reason I don't have him a little higher is because USC only beat Cal by 1 point. USC was on the verge of losing their 3rd consecutive game. Caleb Williams is going to finish the season with some of the best numbers in all of college football, but it won't mean anything if USC continues this downward trend. Cracking my Heisman list for the first time this season is Oklahoma State running back Alli Gordon. Now, in case you haven't been following too closely, you've missed one of the better running back stretches we've seen in recent memory. Before I get to what he's done over the last 5 games, let me tell you this. He currently leads the country with 1,100 rushing yards. He's also number 1 in the Big 12 and number 4 in the country, averaging 7.7 yards per attempt. His 10 rushing touchdowns also lead the Big 12 and are inside the top 10 in all of college football as well. Alli Gordon is also number 2 in the entire country with nearly 1,300 total yards from scrimmage. So what exactly has he done the last 5 games? Well, here we go. Against Iowa State, he ran for 121 yards. Then against Kansas State, he ran for 136 yards with a rushing score. Against Kansas, he rushed for 170 yards with a touchdown while catching 6 passes for 116 yards and a receiving touchdown. On the road at West Virginia, he rushed for 280 yards with 4 rushing touchdowns. Then this past weekend against Cincinnati, he rushed for 270 yards with 2 rushing scores while also catching 4 passes for 20 yards. Like I mentioned, this is one of the better stretches we've seen from a running back in recent memory. You can make the case he's the best running back in all of college football, and if he keeps this up and Oklahoma State keeps on winning games, Alli Gordon might make a late season Heisman push. Carson Beck just keeps on getting better as the season progresses. This past weekend against Florida, he was missing his top target in Brock Bowers. That didn't matter as he threw for 315 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. Overall for the season, Beck is completing 73% of his passes. He's thrown for just under 2,500 yards with 14 passing touchdowns and 4 interceptions. There are a few other quarterbacks that have better numbers this season, but the current stretch that Carson Beck is on, and considering Georgia is one of the top teams in the country, I think he's going to be in the discussion until the very end. Dillon Gabriel's chances took a bit of a hit this weekend as Oklahoma fell to Kansas. Gabriel had an okay game as he was able to make up for his production on the ground as he rushed for 3 touchdowns. Through the air, he had a quiet performance as he threw for only 170 yards with no passing touchdowns. Despite this weekend's performance, Gabriel has still been one of the best players in all of college football this season. His 27 total touchdowns are number 1 in the Big 12 and number 3 in the entire country. He also leads the Big 12 with 2,600 total yards, and that puts him 6th in the country as well. Jordan Travis had one of his best games of the season this past weekend in a victory over Wake Forest. He threw for over 350 yards with 3 passing touchdowns while also adding a touchdown on the ground as well. Overall, he's thrown for 2,100 yards this season, throwing 18 passing touchdowns with only 2 interceptions. He's also added 200 yards on the ground with 6 rushing scores as well. Marvin Harrison Jr. continues to be the best wide receiver in all of college football. He's pretty much the reason Ohio State knocked off Wisconsin this past weekend. He caught 6 passes for 123 yards with 2 receiving touchdowns. For Harrison Jr., this marks his 4th consecutive game with over 100 receiving yards and his 4th consecutive game with a receiving touchdown. Overall in the season, he's caught 48 passes for 900 yards and 8 receiving touchdowns. He's nearly got the triple crown going as he leads the Big Ten in receptions, receiving yards, but is number 2 in receiving touchdowns. Depending on which outlet you look at, JJ McCarthy is actually the betting favorite. He's been fantastic for Michigan this season, but because he hasn't played any real solid opponents, that's why I don't have him as high as the odds really have him. He's still been great this year for the Wolverines. He's completing 78% of his passes while throwing for 1,800 yards and 18 passing touchdowns. He's also added 3 touchdowns on the ground as well. This past weekend on the road to Michigan State, he had probably his best game of the season. He threw for just under 300 yards with 4 passing touchdowns. Now, I do want to add, because other people have mentioned this in comments in previous weeks, the reason JJ McCarthy's numbers aren't as great as some of the other quarterbacks on this list is the fact that he's really not playing all 4 quarters every game. Michigan is blowing out every opponent they play, so McCarthy is seeing the bench a lot earlier than those other guys. So if he had a couple more quarters under his belt, I'm sure his numbers would be a lot better. But this isn't a game of what ifs, I just gotta go based on what his numbers currently are. If LSU had only 1 loss this season, Jaden Daniels would easily be the betting favorite. If LSU is able to win out, I think he'll end up being the Heisman winner. But for right now, this is where I got him currently ranked. The season he's having in 2023 is absolutely insane. He currently leads the country with 25 passing touchdowns and leads the country with 3,100 total yards. He also leads the country in passing efficiency rating, passing yards per attempt, and total yards per play. He's been arguably the best quarterback in all of college football, but I have him just behind 2 other guys. That's right, I got Bo Nix at number 2 on my Heisman rankings. The crazy thing is, Bo Nix is having an even better season than he did in 2022. He's completing 78% of his passes and has thrown for just under 2,400 yards. He has 21 passing touchdowns with only 1 interception. He's also added 3 touchdowns on the ground as well. The reason I have Bo Nix so high is because he also shows up in the biggest games of the season. Last month against Colorado, he had 300 yards with 4 total touchdowns. Then against Washington, despite the loss, he had 350 yards with 2 touchdowns. Then this past weekend on the road against a top 15 opponent in Utah, he had 250 yards with 3 total touchdowns. Bo Nix is having an incredible season so far, and I got no problem if you want to have him as your number 1 guy. But my number 1 pick is still Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. He bounced back with another fantastic performance this weekend against Stanford as he threw for 370 yards with 4 passing touchdowns. For the season, he's completing a very nice 69% of his passes for just under 3,000 yards. He also has 24 passing touchdowns as well. Penix Jr. currently leads all of college football in passing yards and is number 3 in the country in passing touchdowns. His numbers are right there near the top, but what gives him the slight edge over the other guys on this list is the fact that Washington is undefeated. But like I've been talking about, the Heisman race is absolutely insane right now, and it's anybody's award for the final month of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if any of the guys inside my top 6 end up winning the Heisman this year. Well, that wraps it up for my Heisman top 10. Was there a player that was too high or too low on my list? Or was there a player that wasn't inside my top 10 that should have been in here? Whoever it is, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos every day during the season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.